Dun, dun, dun. Hi everyone, my name is Jen. If you're watching this video, then you're probably considering the title down below. Now, I don't know if you have dropped out of uni and you're just looking for some reassurance, or maybe it's something that you're considering, or maybe you just want to hear it from someone that has. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my story about dropping out of university. It's not a topic that I really shy away from, and in fact, it's something that I usually tell people pretty freely because I'm lucky that my story of dropping out of uni has turned out pretty well. When I first went to uni, I had always dreamed of studying science. However, I didn't really do that well in science subject in school, so just before the UCAS deadline I decided to change to law. Now, it wasn't as random as people thought. Law was still something I was interested in. I still did law society in school, I took English, I took history, so it really made a lot of sense, but it was pretty rushed. So keep that in mind. When I was in school, I actually went to a boarding school for 6 years. So the summer between school and uni was kind of the longest time I'd spent at home in a few years. Over that summer I made a lot of good friends, I got a job at home, and I kind of started to settle back into my hometown, which I hadn't done in the past. So going from that, kind of getting myself settled, making good friends, to then going to uni wasn't really pleasant. I guess for a lot of people it's a chance to get away and start over, but I kind of already done that a couple months before. I had started making new friends outside of school, I got a new job, I was feeling pretty settled. Then suddenly it was time to move again, and to be honest I was kind of like So I remember the moving day, I was very excited. The uni I initially went to was a good couple of hours away, so me and mum packed everything up, we drove up, I was really excited. And I just remember as soon as we got there and unpacked, there was like a meeting or something we had to go to, so instead of kind of like going out for dinner or something with my mum, she left. Well, I told her to leave, which I still feel awful about. She left, and it was like kind of late at night, it was pretty dark, and me and my new flatmates went to this meeting, which didn't really happen, so kind of quickly came back to the flat. I remember just sitting there, it's like a Sunday night or something like that, and I just thought, now what? Now what do I do? I'm here in this flat with people I don't know. I think half my flatmates were out with some friends that they'd already made. And I just thought, what do I do? This is not what I expected. I thought there would be things going on. I thought I would have stuff to do. Am I really just sitting in this flat, miles away from home, without anyone I know? Then the first day of uni came. I went to my sort of welcome lectures and things, and it was all fairly interesting. I remember coming back to my flat and I just sat down on my bed, and I just knew, like straight away, day one, I just sat there and I thought, this isn't for me, this is not where I'm supposed to be, and I don't like this. A lot of people are really surprised when I tell them that I hated it from day one, and it wasn't really that I hated the course or anything like that, or that the people were bad. It wasn't that, I just didn't feel settled. And I know that you're not expected to feel settled straight away, but I'm not someone that's ever struggled with homesickness or anything like that. It was just like a gut instinct, like I just knew that this was not where I was supposed to be. The uni that I went to hadn't always been my top choice. I was torn between uni A and uni B. At school I was kind of pushed more to use words uni A because it was considered the better uni, looking at league tables. And I think when I went to visit it, because it was the new choice in my head, it wasn't always the uni I'd wanted to go to, it kind of had that excitement factor at the last minute, so I went with it. Whereas uni B, which is the one I had wanted to go to for science subjects, by this point kind of felt, oh well, I'm not going there to study science, so why would I want to go? Terrible decision to make, but hey, on with the story. So I got to uni A, and that first day I was sitting in my room, and I remember I actually phoned uni B asking them, like, look, I had a place originally, is there any spaces left in clearing or adjustment? And like guttingly they told me that there was spaces left, but not for Scottish students. The woman on the phone was very nice, and she said, have you considered just leaving now, saving your year of funding, and like reapplying next year? But head over heart, I thought, I don't want to risk leaving and not getting back into uni. I hadn't done as well in my final exams as I'd thought. I still got in, but I kind of thought, do I risk like losing this place that I feel so lucky to have gotten? It's a good uni, I'm on a good course, I'll just wait and see. Then onwards my plan was, I'll see how it goes, but I'll probably try and move in second year. Maybe I can transfer into second year. That was sort of my plan of action. So the next couple months went by. I did try to an extent, but I remember at Christmas just having in my head, why bother trying with this anymore? I know this isn't for me, I don't like it. I only really spent about 4 days of the week there and the other couple of days at home. Then in the new year I actually moved out of my flat at uni because I just wasn't enjoying it. I was barely ever there. It was obviously very expensive and I was only going to be in uni a couple of days a week in second semester. So I started my couple of months of commuting a good 3.5 hours twice a day. Like I would get up at like 6 in the morning, in my backpack I'd have breakfast, lunch and dinner, and I would just spend all day like out. I would get home at like 10 o'clock at night and start again the next day. I did this for about 2 months. I had about 2 or 3 friends at uni, but it wasn't like a close friendship. Like I didn't have a friend group that I do now. Most of the time I would, you know, from 6 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, I wouldn't speak to a single person all day. The uni I went to initially, the lecture theatres were very large and you didn't sit next to people, you could have a whole row to yourself. So I would just go the full day without speaking to someone, which isn't healthy for a 19-year-old who's new to all of this. You know, it wasn't productive from like the way I was feeling or for doing well at uni. My grades show that I didn't perform as well as I ever have. I was never in the top sets at school, but I got like straight A's at GCSE, you know, I'm fine. By this point I had already applied to other unis for second year. The general consensus that had come back was that it wasn't going to be possible to transfer directly into second year. I would need to start from first year again, but having said I wasn't doing very well on my course, I thought fine, you know, I don't want to be failing exams, I don't want to be getting D's, I want to be getting A's and B's. So if starting again will do that, that's fine. I don't mind starting from square one again. It also means I don't have that difficulty of coming into second year and not knowing anyone. So I was completely fine with that, but I thought I would stick it out and finish the year at Uni A. Anyway, it came to March, so I only had about 2 or 3 weeks left of class. I just remember I cannot keep doing badly in something that I know in my heart of hearts I'm good at and I'm interested in. This isn't me, this isn't the experience I want to have. I want to be like when I was at school, have good friends and do well and enjoy myself, and I was none of those things. I absolutely hated the way I was feeling, I hated my uni, I hated my course. I hate to be the person that says Uni A is awful, I had a bad experience, because everyone I know there, other than a couple of people who also left, they love it, they have the greatest time, and so it's very down to your personal experience. I personally didn't have a great time at Uni A. I was quite ill at the very beginning of the year and just didn't find that there was any support available for me. They had a policy whereby if you missed compulsory classes you would be removed from the course, which is fine. I had missed them for being ill and was just kind of inquiring how I go about submitting my absence note from the doctor, etc. Pretty basic, it wasn't anything too dramatic. My personal tutor told me that he couldn't help me and he wouldn't meet with me. I had never met him in my life before. I'd reached out to a complete stranger for help and like just been like told no. I then phoned and emailed the student help bureau, who just completely ignored me, told me that it was something I should figure out on my own. I just don't feel like it was appropriate to have that much stress from the get-go. Like, I was already feeling out of place and disorientated with it. The last thing I wanted was kind of thinking that they didn't even want me to be there, that I had to keep struggling to keep my place on this course. As much as I felt very lucky to go to this uni, I didn't feel that there was any sort of I didn't feel like it was reciprocated. I never felt welcomed or wanted. People might say that it's selfish for me to want to feel wanted by a university, but so be it. So March came around and a girl I know from home actually had an interview at a uni nearby, and I had arranged to drive her to it. So I dropped her off for her interview and then I drove round to my university because I had to meet with my personal tutor for the first time. Nice of him. because he was writing a reference for me for Uni B. It was about 2 days after my Sunday night, I don't want to do this anymore. I sat my mum down and I said to her, I'm going to drop out this week. I've had enough. I don't want to see it through to the end of the year. I don't want to see it through to exams. I knew I was going to fail them probably, so I just couldn't really handle that rejection again. My mum, of course, was fine with it. She knew that I was sensible and I would figure something out for myself. I drove round to uni. I literally parked my car, drove round to the inquiry centre, which was like the most uncomfortable atmosphere. It was in like a dining hall. Went up to one of the women at the help desk. Hi, my name's Jennifer, how do I drop out? And I remember she just went, oh, okay, that's fine, come with me. Now, she was probably the most helpful and nicest person I spoke to my whole time at university, which was ironic because I was asking her to leave. She gave me a couple of forms to sign. It was very quick, very easy. I literally signed about 3 or 4 pieces of paper and that was it. She gave me a lot of information which was very useful, which I'll come to later on about options. I then went to see my personal tutor. He asked how I was doing and I said I've just dropped out and I'm so happy. Honestly, I would say it's one of the best days of my life, which I know sounds pretty tragic because I dropped out of uni. That has such a stigma of being like the worst thing you could do. But I just felt like the biggest weight had been lifted off my shoulders. In no way did I feel like I didn't have ambition, that I didn't have goals, that I didn't have a plan for my future. It was none of that. It was just like I can breathe again and I can now focus on goals, what I want to do next. A lot of people seem to think if you drop out you're deciding that that's not the path for you or you don't like, I mean, it's very negative. It wasn't like that at all. It was more just I need to breathe and think about what I want to do because this isn't it. She said to me it's a very brave decision and I just thought thank you for understanding that this isn't easy, but I know that it's the right thing to do. That day, later on that day, me and my friends actually booked a holiday, and I know that seems pretty like irresponsible and erratic, but honestly it was just what I needed. Like I needed to just have fun and like be with my friends again and get back to being myself, because I definitely wasn't. I just want to focus a couple minutes on, like I've kind of mentioned, the stigma around dropping out. I mean, I definitely don't shy away from telling people that I've dropped out because, like I say, I've had quite a good experience of dropping out of uni and I've been quite lucky in that aspect. But a lot of people seem to fear the word dropping out, or they seem to fear saying, I don't enjoy uni or I don't feel comfortable here. So I really just want to emphasise that dropping out is in no way saying I don't have ambition, this isn't what I want to do, I don't want to go to uni, I don't want to better myself. It's none of that. Dropping out is being able to say, look, this current situation, this day, this month, this place, this course, this atmosphere, whatever aspect it may be, this for me right now is not right. It may be in a couple years time, it may be that I need to do a different course, it may be that I may need to move to another university like I did, could be anything. It's just saying something doesn't quite fit perfectly. Now I think you only get your education and you only get to go to uni once really. I mean, of course you can go back, but you only have that journey once. Why should you settle for second best? If something doesn't sit right with you in your heart of hearts, why shouldn't you say, nope, I need to change something. I'm going to change something. And that's what I did. I knew deep down that that was not the place for me, that somewhere else where I'd feel more comfortable, I knew that that's where I belonged. I just knew, it's a gut feeling, you know, it definitely is a gut feeling. And it's all about trusting yourself. If anyone says to you, oh, what are you going to do now? Anything. Literally, could have done anything. I didn't even need to go back to uni. I might have decided another career path was best for me, not one that involves a degree. A lot of people I've spoken to since who are maybe considering dropping out or considering doing something different, I cannot stress enough how much I say to them, like, good on you. Good on you for putting yourself first and thinking that you deserve the chance to decide your own path. It's not a case of uni's the be all and end all and you must stick where you are and you must stick at the better league uni, because it's not at all about that. I can hands down guarantee that you'll perform much better in a path that you feel comfortable in and that you enjoy. If you force yourself on a path that you think is the right thing to do, you will not be nearly successful or happy. So options, I guess you could say. I mean, literally when you drop out of uni, you can do anything you want. It is in no way the closing of a door. If anything, it's the end of a boring chapter that you hated, so good riddance, because now you can do anything you want. You can do what I've done. You can apply to a different uni. I'm very lucky that in Scotland uni is free, and you have a sort of like false start year whereby if you change course or move uni you can get an additional year funding. Thank you. The application process, I'll be honest, was a little bit more brutal. When I first applied to uni I got 5. So the one uni that I got accepted into was the uni that I had been accepted into the year before also. I was very lucky that they accepted me second time around, albeit they did make things a little bit more difficult for me. I did also face one university who, I mean, I had considered them to be an easy option, not gonna lie. I was a bit kind of arrogant about it. It was more of a close by uni. I'd heard very good things about them, but they were considered to not be as great. Their entry standards were significantly lower than the grades I had got. They rejected me for dropping out. They said that they didn't look on someone dropping out as a good quality to have, which I did argue with them a fair bit about, and I think it was a pretty shocking response from them, to be honest. So I guess it wasn't meant to be. I was very lucky that the uni I go to now, who also did have their doubts about the fact I had dropped out, but they basically offered me to go on a sort of access scheme whereby I did like classes over summer and just had to prove, I guess, that I was studious. But you know, that was completely fine. It was actually great because I got to meet people before I actually went to uni, so it kind of stopped that whole first night at uni A of thinking, now what? Because I'd already had like a full-on welcome in, which is kind of what I needed. I know it sounds a bit like baby steps, but honestly by this point I was nearly 20 and I was still happy with baby steps, so there's definitely nothing wrong with it. And you know, you might think this doesn't apply to me. I hate uni because of uni. I don't want to go there. Well, fine. Drop out, get a job, start finding out what you do enjoy, and if a couple of years down the line you think, oh, I wish I'd gotten that degree, go back. I mean, there's open university courses. You literally don't even have to go to uni. Another option, which I was very surprised to learn about and I cannot reiterate to people enough because it's actually great, was when I initially dropped out of Uni A, the woman informed me that if I chose to come back in September and start first year again, that they would keep a place for me almost. It was almost like a little safety net, and I honestly wish I had known that to begin with, because I probably would have left sooner, whereas I kept trying to force something that just wasn't going to happen. And I thought, how great. That's the first kind of feeling of support that I had had that whole year. So if you're feeling at all that you don't enjoy where you're at just now, or you're not feeling like you want to go back to uni in September, or you're just at all thinking this isn't for me, and don't force it, because you're not going to do as well as you could. You're hindering your own potential. You could take a year and say, can I take a year out and I might come back in a year's time. I just need a year to go and gather my thoughts a little bit and make sure that this is really for me. Or you could apply to a different course if that's what you're feeling, or you could apply to another uni. You know, someone I knew from Uni A, actually, I remember them asking me about the whole applying again process, because by this point I'd already submitted my applications and they were thinking about moving closer to home as well. And I said, why not apply? It doesn't do any harm to try. I mean, if anything, you get rejected and you stay here, but you might be accepted and then you know that you're going to be a lot happier. So why put yourself through the trauma of thinking, oh, I can't apply again, I can't possibly move, I can't drop out. Who cares? Whenever someone says to me, even half jokingly, oh, I'm thinking about dropping out, or I'm thinking about changing course, I just say, do it. Uni is not going anywhere. I know people that have dropped out and gone back a year later to the same place, to the same course. A lot of people would expect if I changed uni or if I dropped out I would change course, but I feel so much more confident in it now because I know I've picked it twice. I know that this is definitely what I want to do. I've seen people drop out and then go back for another semester or something like that. You know, there's so many opportunities available when you actually just ask and when you put yourself out there. No way should you ever feel that there aren't options available and that you can't take that risk, because trust me, there are so many options out there for people that are feeling a little bit disconnected with the whole uni experience, or maybe just not feeling like it's the right time for them. Maybe it was just me, maybe I was slow and I wasn't ready to begin with, but so be it. I think I owe it to myself to give every opportunity my best shot and have the best uni experience possible, and I'm so glad that I just said, nope, this isn't for me, I'm going to drop out. For a couple months I went on some great holidays and I kind of really had a long hard think about what I actually wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve. I mean, at some points I thought, do I even want to go back to uni? I mean, I've applied and I've got in and that's great, but what if it's just not for me? What if I'm never going to do well? What if I'm never going to enjoy it? And there was always those moments of fear, thinking, oh, I've made such a big mistake, I should do this, I should do that. I even considered going back to uni A for a little while. That's all part of the learning experience. I would so much rather have tried and maybe even started from square one at uni A again than have never left. And I can guarantee you, if I was still there just now, I would be getting C's and D's, whereas now I get A's and B's. I have an amazing group of friends and I love uni. Hi, so my camera cut out. I'm just editing the video so far just now. Sorry, it's pretty rambly. There is actually a lot that I've left out to be. It's not relevant to everyone. It's not anything that you could really take any advice from, so I've left a lot of the details of why I didn't enjoy myself out. But anyway, I just thought I would wrap up there. Hopefully, if you are considering dropping out of uni, or if you are just looking for that little bit of reassurance and this video has been of use to you, that is the whole point in putting myself out there and making this. It is a little bit daunting. Thanks if you're still with me 20 minutes in. Yeah, bye!